Hey there, this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Life topics the way I see them. I'm your host, Nina Perez. I am here to challenge and transform your thinking. No excuses. Let's do this. Hey guys, how you doing? This is Nina Perez, your host, and I am so glad to be back with you. As you can hear, I'm sounding a little bit better. So I finally got over this horrible bronchitis that lasted me about 2 weeks. So I am back. So I wanted to get back on topic for what we were talking about, and these were the things that we learn to fight back when life hits you hard. So in week 1, we talked about overcoming shame. So we touched on that last time, and we talked about how shame can cause a feeling of distress and humiliation, and how sometimes there is shame that we were imposed upon, like people did things to us, and then that caused us to have shame, or healthy shame, which is when we do something we're not supposed to do and we start to feel shame. That is healthy, right? Because if you feel shame over something bad that you know is bad, that means you can change it. If you don't feel shame, to me, that's a little bit dangerous, right? So we were talking about shame and how to overcome shame, how to actually beat it and overcome it, right? So now I wanted to talk about forgiveness. So I wanted to talk in this week, which is week 2 on the Fight Back series. So we're fighting back the enemy and life when it hits us hard. And week 2 is the power of forgiveness. So number 1 was overcoming shame. So if you missed that, go back one more podcast and you should be able to catch up pretty quickly. This week is the power of forgiveness. Next week, we're going to talk about standing in your truth. Then we're going to talk about letting go so that you can receive more, and dreaming big. So this is going to be our 5-week series. So let's get into it. So for our second topic, we will be talking about the power of forgiveness. So forgiveness, looking it up, means to cease feeling resentment against an offender, to grant relief from payment of. So basically, like when you feel like somebody owes you something or a debt that you feel they owe you, it's granting a relief of that payment and feeling a ceasing happening of resentment towards an offender, somebody who's offended you. Maybe you've even offended yourself, right? So it's even releasing that against yourself. You know, forgiveness can be so freaking difficult. I think it takes like superpowers, right, to forgive sometimes. Sometimes it literally takes superpowers. See, in our day-to-day, people will do and say things that are going to piss us off and offend us, for sure. I mean, if you're living in a world, and if you're living, obviously you are. If you're listening, you're alive, right? So people will offend you, and they're going to piss you off. That's just the truth, right? The more we learn to forgive, the easier it gets, though. That I can tell you. So rather than to hold a grudge, which can consume your life, the Bible teaches us that to forgive those who are holding, or you are holding prisoner in your hearts or in your mind. So you need to release people, because it just, you think that you're holding them prisoner, like you're going to pay. But really, the one that becomes imprisoned is you, right? So having an unforgiving heart leads to bitterness and anger, frustration, destruction, you name it, right? It's not good. A heart that is unforgiving and bitter, it's really hard to have a lot of love, and it's hard to love as you ought to love. Love in the fullness of how you're supposed to love, because you're bitter. I mean, the power of forgiveness is something I really wanted to touch on, because I think it's something we all need. Not a want, we need it. Since I was a child, I was suspicious and I didn't trust anybody. I mean, people who are supposed to love you and hurt you, I mean, it just sucks, right? So people who are supposed to come into your life and support you and cover you and love on you, and they hurt you, I mean, that crap sucks, okay? It isn't easy to forgive. Sometimes forgiving feels hard, and it feels like it's like undeserved because they offended us, right? So it doesn't feel like they deserve for us to forgive them. right? I mean, especially if what they did to us was huge. If what they did to us was huge, it is even harder to forgive. If I'm totally honest with you guys, I will admit to you that I wanted people to pay for what they did to me. I mean, I immediately think about my ex stepfather who molested me. I did not want to forgive him. I wanted him to pay for what he did. He never paid for what he did. So why should I forgive him and let him off the hook? I mean, that's not fair. That was my attitude for a very long time. I mean, in my life, I have had many events happen to me since I was little. From being molested to beaten, rejected, mistreated, you name it. I had been molested as a child, and it took me 30 plus years to realize that the one that was in prison was me. I am a Christian. I am in faith now. And God was teaching me that holding on to unforgiveness hurts me and not them. I had this I'm going to stick it to them attitude. I'm sticking it to them. When really it was sticking it to me instead. I was the victim. I had the me mentality. I did. And rather than live in that freedom that God was trying to show me, I was living a life full of offense and anger and frustration and you name it. Now, when you choose this victim mentality, which is what I wanted to do, I really just lived there, you become miserable. You end up unproductive. It's this kind of thinking where you are like, poor me, poor old me, and look at me, and look at what these people did to me. That steals your ability to have gratitude for the things in your life. I mean, it literally steals your ability to see what you should be grateful for. It steals your deserved joy. It hinders your ability to be the person that you are created to be, that God has created you to be. It will steal it from you. I had to listen. I had to listen when God asked me to go forgive my stepfather, to be set free. And man, I was not happy about it at all. So after many years of trying to avoid it, right? Just literally not listening to God as many times as he told me to go, I would not go. No, why is this man not dead yet? I mean, he has cancer. He had maybe the liver the size of a quarter. He's an alcoholic. He is a heavy smoker. Why is this man still alive? I was pissed. I was and I kept hearing God tell me, you need to go forgive him. I'm like, no, I don't want to forgive him. Why is he still alive? And another year would go by, and another year, and another year. And it took 4 or 5 years, guys. Seriously, 4 to 5 years of just being beaten up by, not beaten up, but really pressed from God to really go and forgive this man. And I just did not want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I was having anxiety attacks, depression. I was having these anger issues. I would blow off the handle and you name it. I mean, and more, I needed to listen. I didn't want to listen. I needed to forgive. I didn't want to forgive. So even though I truly didn't want to, I did it. Right? So I went up to my stepfather one day. I had to go and see him. He lives in New York. And I said, okay, I need to talk to you. He said, I know we need to talk. So I said, you have done some evil things to me, things that no one should do to a kid. And I wonder if you even remember half of those things that you did because you were always so drunk that you probably don't even know all of the abuse that you did to me. Because of you, everything you've done to me, I have made bad decisions in my life. I have had it really hard. I have hated you for everything that you have done to me. And you probably don't even remember what you've done. After I said all that, he looks at me and he says, I remember everything that I've done to you, and I hate myself for what I did. What? I couldn't believe he admitted it. Now, I got really close to him, guys, eyes to eyes, nose to nose, face to face, and I looked at him with my teeth clenching together, and I said, I choose to forgive you. I choose to forgive you. The only reason that I am here is because God wants me to forgive you. I choose to be obedient and I choose to forgive you, and you will no longer have power over me. You will no longer have power over me. I take back everything that you have taken from me. At that moment that my eyes started tearing up, he used his hands to wipe away my tears and said, I understand. And he grabbed me and hugged me, and I hugged him back. And in that instant, guys, in that instant, all of my anger, my rage, my shame, my bitterness, my hate for him, my fear, all of that broke in the spirit. It just broke. I felt it. It was almost like a shift. That very moment, literally, I felt a shift in my life. I was holding on to this anger for dear life because he did not deserve to pass go. He did not deserve to collect $200, and he did not deserve that get out of jail free card. I knew because I was obedient that God was going to release me from the prison. I knew that he was going to release me of what this man did to me. I knew it. Because of that, because of being obedient, because I decided to finally follow God. Now, let me tell you something. It was slow behind obedience because it was years that God was pressing that on my heart and I was not being obedient. I really wasn't. But because I decided to do it and because I decided to be obedient, that broke everything and I was able to write my book. I was able to find the true healing in the process. I didn't do it right away, but man, did it start setting so many things in my life open and free. You know, I've had to do many, many things in my life. Some people I've had to forgive face to face, and some I just released. I did it by releasing my anger and asking God to help me with forgiving them. You know, for many times I still felt anger and frustration, but I learned that forgiveness is not a feeling, but a choice. I had to choose it. So don't expect that as soon as you say, okay, I forgive them, that you will be okay with being around that person or even trusting them again, because most likely you won't. I will say that I have learned that forgiveness isn't about the other person, though, but completely about me. It's completely about you. You will see a shift in your life and a clarity that you didn't see under that anger and frustration that you had before. You know, I believe that unforgiveness is a gateway for other bad crap to happen. It causes other things to offend you. It causes you to feel rejected. And it causes you to even reject things that could be good for you. But because you are seeing it through a cloudy perception of anger and frustration and offense, you are not making a very clear decision. I'll give you an example. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and she said that she doesn't believe in women teachers. She thinks that they're all fake and they're all phonies. When I pressed her further, I realized that she had been disappointed by a woman teacher in the past, and because of that, she sees like all women teachers as like these fakes and phonies. Like she's been so disappointed by a woman teacher in the past that she is like, nope, not accepting any teaching that comes from a woman. So she's still being in this offense and in this not forgiving state, right? So this unforgiveness. So I feel like she is losing out on being taught some amazing things that maybe only a woman professor or teacher can teach her. But if she keeps this up, she will never know that. She'll never know that a woman can actually teach her something amazing. So what's going to happen if she keeps this up? What happens if a male teacher disappoints her? Will she not listen to them either? I mean, her options are going to get pretty narrow very quickly if she's not going to accept anything from a female teacher and now nothing from a male teacher. You know, offense and unforgiveness is a trap, guys. It's going to keep you on a very narrow path on things that you can be getting in life. You know, chances are that as I talk about this topic, you can recall a time when someone deeply angered you or offended you through what they did, whether it was a careless action or harsh words. Maybe you saw it coming and were like, man, I could see this coming, but I'm going to choose to ignore it, right? Or maybe It absolutely blindsided you. Man, I hate when that happens, and that has happened to me. The last thing you want to do is offer forgiveness. That's like the last thing you want to do. This person offended you. They blindsided you. I mean, you don't want to forgive this person. And truth be told, at this point, it doesn't matter whether they intended to or not. You're now pissed off and you're hurt. Well, for me, I don't know about you guys. I go through like this like up and down thing where I get hurt and then pissed off and then hurt and then pissed off. You know, I like go through this thing, this whole emotional roller coaster when I go through this, you know. Then not only do I get offended by them, I also start blaming myself for allowing it to happen. Before I know it, I'm in this horrible roller coaster of emotions and angry with myself as well. See, how do we fight this thing anyway? Like, how do we get through this? How do we fight this? Here's the thing. You need to stop telling yourself that if you forgive, you are letting them get away with it. That you're letting them or yourself off the hook. It isn't that at all, guys. You are just choosing not to let it consume you anymore. You want to get out of this prison. So, are you waiting for an apology? Yeah, I'm going to wait for an apology. Wrong. The way to overcome is to realize that you are okay, even if they never say sorry. You choose to release them anyway. What they do or don't do isn't your concern. Don't trap yourself. Don't do that. Don't trap yourself by waiting for others to realize that they're in error. They're in error. Big mistake, guys. Big mistake. It'll be your error because they may never realize that they did anything wrong nor care about it. So let it go. You won't suddenly get amnesia, by the way. When you choose to forgive, you may still remember. It's not that forgive and forget thing. You may still hurt when you think about it. You may still hurt when you see them. Guess what? That's normal. But you don't have to live in that hurt, and you don't have to have that hurt dictate how you live your life. It's just an indicator that you will be more careful moving forward. So just remember that, because a lot of people think that if they forgive, all of a sudden they have to feel fuzzy, warm feelings, and that's not true. You don't have to forget. Sometimes remembering is a good thing because you can then say, okay, I remember when this happened to me before, therefore I choose not to let this happen to me again. Okay? So the last thing I want to tell you is to choose life. Choose life. Choose to live life as fully as you can. You need to forgive because you need to live, right? This is what I'm trying to tell you. You need to forgive because you need to live. When you choose not to, it's like you're digging up a corpse and trying to revive it even when it has no life in it. It's futile. You cannot choose to live in unforgiveness and be completely fulfilled and happy. That's not going to happen. You're going to be lonely. You're going to be angry. You're going to be bitter. You're going to have all of these negative things in your life. Why? Oh, because you're choosing to, they're going to pay. They're going to pay. I'm not going to forgive. They're going to pay for it. You know what? You're paying for it. You're paying for it. Don't do that to yourself. I know because I have done it. That is not fair to you. That is not fair to you to live in that place of unforgiveness. It is not fair because you deserve to have a fulfilled life. You deserve to live. You deserve to be in your fullness. You deserve that because you were created. And because you were created, you are here for a purpose. And therefore, you deserve it. Okay? God is going to be teaching you that unforgiveness is going to hurt you, not them. Don't worry about the stick it to them attitude. I'm telling you, if you keep that up, you're going to stick it to yourself. I know. Been there, done that. And if you keep up with that victim mentality about me, but you don't know what they did to me, and look what they did to me, and look at me, and why did they do this to me, and I have the right to be here because of me, man, that victim mentality, that's going to take you down the wrong path, and that poor me mentality is going to steal everything that you deserve. Everything that you deserve is going to be stolen from you. What do you deserve? Joy. You deserve joy. You deserve to look at the things in your life that shows you that you have a lot to be grateful for, and that the things that people have done to hurt you, the things that people have done that have offended you, have come against you, it is not worth your joy. It is not worth your peace. It is not worth all these wonderful things in your life. It is not worth hindering what you were created for. Okay? So please choose life. And the way to choose life is choose to forgive. You deserve to pass go. You deserve the $200. You deserve the get out of jail free card. And your get out of jail free card is forgiveness. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope that this second week has spoken to you in a powerful way. So remember, next week we're going to be coming about standing in our truth. We are going to be talking about standing in our truth. So if you missed it, last week is overcoming shame. This week, as you heard, was the power of forgiveness. And next week is standing in your truth. So I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. Leave me some comments and feedback. Let me know what you think about the power of forgiveness. You have a wonderful week as you start to learn to release and forgive. This is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added.